everyone, and welcome to my review of The Dead Zone by Stephen King. I read The Dead Zone as part of my New Year resolution to read a Stephen King novel every month, and The Dead Zone was the book I read in February for this. The Dead Zone is a supernatural thriller that was published in 1979 and was the fifth novel that Stephen King published under his real name, and the seventh novel he published altogether if we count two other books that he published as Richard Bachman at the time. The book was also nominated for the Locus Award in 1980. The Dead Zone follows the story of Johnny Smith, who has a car accident while riding in a cab, and that puts him in a coma for approximately 5 years. Before the accident, his life was pretty much normal. He had a good job. He also had a good relationship with a woman called Sarah, who was going really well, going on steady, and he was very much looking forward to his future. After the coma, everything changes. The most important aspect that is changed about him and what actually drives the plot of the book is that when he wakes up from the coma, he has paranormal abilities, and when he touches someone, he is able to tell things about that person. He can't control everything that he's able to tell. If he's able to see their past or their future or something happening in the present, but what he sees tells him something about that person, and he is able to change the future. From that small synopsis, it doesn't sound that much different than a normal paranormal book where someone is able to use powers of changing the future or doing things using their powers. But what I really liked about this book is that it didn't really focus on the paranormal abilities. What the book is really focused on is the conflict and the confusion that Johnny is experiencing of whether he should really use his powers and his abilities or not, on how that drains him, on how it affects his life. I thought it was very interesting that he was going through dilemmas of whether doing something or changing something is actually good or bad, and whether he should really get involved with doing anything to change the future. There's also a very strong political aspect in the book. The book takes place in the 70s in the United States after the war in Vietnam, and there's a lot of political references. One of the main characters in the book that is actually the antagonist in the story is Greg Stilson, who is a political candidate, and Johnny, with his premonition abilities, plays a very important part. That was an interesting aspect of the book. The book also contains a couple of Stephen King's Easter eggs. It's what they're called in the fan community, I guess, which means he features things related to his other novels in this novel. This is one of the reasons why many people advise that people read Stephen King's books in chronological order if they want to read more of them, because he features different characters or locations or things in other novels as well. And the two Easter eggs I was able to find in this book was Jerusalem's Lot, which was a fictional town that was created for the book Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot is actually short for Jerusalem's Lot. The story behind the town's name is explained in Salem's Lot, the book. Another Easter egg that I found is the mention of Carrie as a book. At some point, one of the characters in the book mentions the book Carrie and talks about the spoilers. Something worth mentioning for Stephen King fans out there is that this is the first novel that features Castle Rock. Castle Rock is a fiction town where a few of Stephen King's novels take place, and this is the first book that introduced Castle Rock as a town. About the writing, I like Stephen King's writing a lot in general, and I really like this book and how it was written. In different places, it does the same as in Salem's Lot and in The Stand, as in it jumps from one character to the other and sees how different characters do at the same time, or how time affects different characters in different ways, and I really like that in books, and I really like how Stephen King does that. Another thing that I also liked about it is that towards the end of the book, it uses the kind of newspaper clipping style or archive style that is similar to how he wrote Carrie. Overall, this novel was really good. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and I really liked it. Something that I have to mention though about it is that I wouldn't say it's a horror novel at all. It's not scary at all, and it is not a horror novel. So for people that want to read Stephen King and want to experience the king of horror, it's really important to realize that this book isn't really horror, and you shouldn't go into it expecting to be scared, because you're probably going to be disappointed. Other than that, I really recommend this book. This is it for my review of The Dead Zone by Stephen King. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys are going to want to pick up the book and read it, and let me know what you think about it down in the comments. If you've already read it, please do the same. Let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you back with more videos soon. Bye bye!